Everything in the world has its basic units. We have atoms, the basic unit of chemicals, and in biology we have cell, the basic unit of life. So today we'll learn about the cell biology and organization, your second chapter in biology form 4 Kssm. And before we go further into the topic, first thing first, we need to know about the cell structure and the function of its own components. Instead of using completed diagram like in the textbook, so today, before we go further, I want to teach you how to sketch the cell itself. It's maybe us in SPM in which require you to draw the cell. So let's start sketching the cell. So I'm very sure that you already seen this before, in which this is a structure of an animal cell, a general structure of animal cell. Later you will learn about the specialization and so on, in which it's might not the same as this diagram, but it still have its own component. Maybe differs in quantity and so on. So let's label our diagram. First thing first, we have this pin shape thing or pin like, in which we call them as mitochondria, or it's singular, we call it mitochondria. And then we have this thing which is near the nucleus, in which we call it endoplasmic reticulum. And for your information, there are two types of endoplasmic reticulum. You have raw endoplasmic reticulum and small endoplasmic reticulum. What's different between them is the raw endoplasmic reticulum have ribosome attached to it. So I will write it in short form, raw endoplasmic reticulum. And here, as I say, small endoplasmic reticulum. I think more accurate is put it here. And also for your information, the raw endoplasmic reticulum or the small share its own membrane with the nucleus membrane. Not shared. It's like that. Both of the membrane are borders among each other. So they will ensure the effectiveness of the protein transportation, which is we will learn later. And then we have this centriole, which is always exists in pairs, and we have lysosome, a vital organelle that carry out its function to digest and so on. And here we have the Golgi apparatus. And not to forget our important plasma membrane. I'm sure that before this, some of the teacher of book refer them as cell membrane, but to standardize the usage of uh, term, I really recommend to use the plasma membrane term. And then we have this entire circle here is nucleus, in which we have nucleolus located at the center of the nucleus. Then we have the chromatin. Chromatin contains DNA, which is we will learn later. And then we have the nuclear pores and so on. So I might not go too details about it, because you will learn that later. So that's all about animal cell. Let's go to the plant cell. Here is your plant cell, the general plant cell. Before I go further, I really love to state that as a biology student, you need or you must know and master the topic, because you will carry this topic further and further on, in which you will learn more about the respiration, the photosynthesis, which is will involve not the cell but its own component. Deep in the own component, you will learn detail about this thing and this thing and so on. So let's label the schematic drawing, in which we have the cell wall. Cell wall is made the plant rigid and it has many functions more. We have the mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell, mitochondria. The plural we call it mitochondria. And then we have this thing which is nucleolus, as I stated before. The whole structure is called as nucleus. This black thing is nucleolus, and this thing here over here we have the chromatin, which contain DNA. You will learn later. Chromatin here. Actually, I won't go detail about the structure of nucleus itself, because you will learn it at a higher level. But I think it's good if you know about that. And as I stated before, uh, the goal, the endoplasmic reticulum and the nucleus share or borders each other. Their membrane borders each other. So here we have RER, which attached to it the ribosomes. And then we have SER, the endoplasmic reticulum with no ribosome attached to it. And then we have this chloroplast. Chloroplast only exists in plant cells. Also, we have the Golgi apparatus. Remember, the plant also need to produce its own enzyme and so on. So they still need the Golgi apparatus. Oh, I forget. And then we have lysosome. We have the vacuole. It's huge things, vacuole. And the plasma membrane. And for sure, the cytoplasm. So this is your plant cell schematic drawing or structure. And then later we will go further into each organelle. We learn about the function and the structure of the organelle itself. So let's move on. And before I go further into the organelle structure and function, there are a few things that you should know. Look right here. So beware of these three things, in which I experienced it by myself, and I think it will help you if I state this earlier. So first, you need to know that some of organelles or component may exist only on animal or plant cell, which mean some of the components of the cell will not be present at animal cell, but present in the plant cell, and might also be that in plant cell it exists, in animal cell it doesn't exist. So you should know about that. And the second thing is, you should know the usage of the word membrane. Take note that not only plasma membrane exists in our cell study, not only plasma membrane, but the component of the cell itself also have its or their own membrane, in which some of them have a double membrane or two layers of membrane, while some of the other only have one layer of the membrane. You should know this because the cell component with two layers of membrane is special. It's always be asked in the question, so I hope that you take note about it. And the term, some of the term will merge two scientific term, such as uh, they merge of two term into one term. You can see this in glycoprotein. I think you will learn more in the chapter 3 about the glycoprotein and so on. But just to introduce you about the usage of this merged term, in which glycoprotein stand for carbohydrate plus protein. We have another thing such as phospholipid. This thing you will learn more in chapter 3, but I want to introduce to you phosphorus plus lipid and so on, phosphate plus lipid, and many more. So let's go into the organelles. I bet you will have a trouble to remember all of this thing, but I want to state again that you must remember all of the function and the structure of the cell component. So let's go to our very important component, the mastermind of the cell, the brain of the cell, which is the nucleus. So before this, I already draw the structure of the cell, but here I want to draw again the structure, the schematic drawing of uh, the own organelle or own cell component. So we have here the chromatin. Actually, there are more to be labeled, but I just want to label the important quantum one. So we have nucleolus here. Nucleolus is the nucleus of the nucleus. We have chromatin. Chromatin contain DNA. For information, chromatin contain DNA. What is DNA? Chromatin contain DNA. What is DNA? DNA stands for deoxyribonucleic acid. In which they carry our genetic information, and they control all the process in the cell. So here we have the membrane of the nucleus, nuclear membrane, in which this nuclear membrane will border the endoplasmic reticulum membrane. And we have nuclear pore. Nuclear pore. So that's basics of nucleus that you should know. And then the structure, as you see here, they are spherical in shape. Shape is spherical. And you can see here they are enclosed by nuclear membrane. So actually you can explain by drawing the nucleus itself, and then you write your explanation by referring to your drawing. That's another how I remember all of the biological facts to answer my SPM, to sit for my SPM. And you should know that this nuclear membrane have many pores. So just add here. And then you have chromatin or chromosomes. Basically the same things, but you will learn more during the chapter of the cell replication. Chromatin contain DNA. Here I write the explanation already. This contain the oxyribonucleic acid, in which it contain our genetic information, and it determines the cell characteristic. And you should know that the general function of the nucleus is to control all of the activity in the cell. Like I said before, it is like our brain, but this is nucleus, the cell's brain. Then we have, let's go further. We have the mitochondria. I said before, you should know that some of the cell component have two layer of membrane. So we have the inner membrane and the outer membrane, which this is inner membrane and the outer. Eh, sorry. We'll learn more in chapter cell respiration, in which you'll get to know about the matrix and the crystal. I will not explain it here to avoid you become confused, so on. So from here you can see that it is rod shape, and it has two layers of membrane. I already stated before this that mitochondrion is the powerhouse of the cell. So I guess you can get to know the function, which is to generate energy. But I recommend you to write more if this question asks. If they ask you what is the function of the mitochondria, you should write more, which is to generate energy through cell respiration or cellular respiration in form of ATP. You will learn later. Don't worry. What is ATP? You will learn more in cell respiration or in respiration. So the third organelle, our journey is too long, still so long. So the third organelle is centriole. So this is one of the cell component or organelle that I stated before. They only exist in animal cell. Why? So here you will learn in cell replication. This topic is like the mother of all topics of the biology. So give your 100% attention to this topic, master this topic, and I can assure you that you will conquer this subject. So the centriole basically exists as the 5 cylinder. and they exist in pair. So they made of microtubule. Just remember the term. They made of microtubule. We'll learn more about microtubules in higher level, which there are three types of microtubule. I will not explain it here, just if you guys curious. And they don't exist in plant cell. So what they do, they form spindle fiber. Form spindle fiber during the cell division or cell replication. So let's jump into the third, or I think four. There's so many cell components. Focus. We have the Golgi apparatus. Golgi apparatus usually they are located near the plasma membrane, near the end of the plasma membrane, in which uh, they are made of flattened sets. A stack of flattened sets. And there are single layer of membrane covered by a single layer of membrane. This organelle is very important. You will learn in the transportation in the cell itself, or the production of enzyme, the possess a great function here, enzyme and so on. And many more. You also learn that later. I think I mentioned you will learn later. Yes, you will learn many things later. So what is the function of the Golgi apparatus? They process, modify, pack, and transport chemicals. Process, modify, pack, and transport. Process, modify, pack, and transport. You should remember that. So this is just 4 components. Have many more to go. The 5th component, in which the lysosome. Lysosome, really easy to draw. Just draw a circle and a few dots in it. So we, like I said before, is spherical in shape, and they contain hydrolysis or hydrolytic enzyme. So just remember, our stomach have enzyme, lysosome have enzyme. So I think you can guess what is the function of the lysosome, in which they will hydrolyze. Hydrolyze is the term for break down things. It is a scientific term for the breakdown things into the smaller and easier to perform the function. So they will hydrolyze complex molecules. Only organic molecules, complex organic molecules, and they break down bacteria and the cell component itself. If the cell component is damaged or affected to the infection, they will break down it. And you will learn more in which lysosome will be used as a way to eat for smaller creatures. So you will learn this later. Also, you will learn this later how the paramecium eat, how the amoeba eat is also a vital part of lysosome function. And I would love to state that you can always imagine lysosome as your digestive system. Like the nucleus is the brain of your cell, the lysosome is the digestive system of your cell. So later, then we have the plasma membrane. You will learn this more and deeper in the next 2 chapters, in which you must master about the plasma membrane. You will learn detail about the plasma membrane itself, which I left that. We have the head and the tail. Draw. No need to stress about the structure. If they ask you to draw plasma membrane, you will draw like this. But I think in the next chapter you will learn more detail about how to draw or how actually the plasma membrane shape is. So no need to worry. If you are going to draw a cell, you just a single line, a dot here, dot, and so on like I draw before this. So this is plasma membrane. So what is plasma membrane itself? It is the outer membrane. It surrounds the cell. And made of protein and lipid. It is very thin and elastic. As you know, you already know that animal cell is not fixed in shape. Their shape is not fixed. That is because the plasma membrane is elastic. Although the shape is not fixed, they not break because of the elasticity of the plasma membrane. And then they are partially or selectively permeable. This is important uh, to allow the transportation or uh, between the cell, out or in the cell. So what they do, as I said before, plasma membrane is very important component of the cell. They separate outer cell and the inner cell. From external. So that is my explain why the nucleus of the cell is there, not outside of the cell, because the presence of the plasma membrane. And they allow exchange of chemicals, of things such as nutrient, of nutrients, the respiratory gases such as oxygen and carbon dioxide, and the waste material, for sure. And the waste material, you cannot let your waste material inside the cell forever, or if not, they will die. And they also control movement into or out of the cell, out of or from the cell. Control movement of substance, I'm sorry. So this one is one of the most important cell component. You'll learn detail later. And then we have ribosomes. Ribosome, the tiny cute dot like thing. It's also frequent shape. Small, complex. Compact. And frequent shape, granule. Spherical granule. Oh, I forgot to write here. The ribosomes. They consist of protein. Again, we mentioned about protein. Protein is important chemical substance of the cell. You will learn later. The protein and RNA. Made of protein and they're made of protein and RNA. And they present on the RER, endoplasmic reticulum, or they also can exist freely in the cytoplasm. The function is only one, but the most important function inside, which is involved in the protein synthesis. 2 words, but actually it is a nightmare if you study at higher level for biology. Photosynthesis consists of three consequent processes. But I will not explain that, just to make yourself more curious to learn about the biology. Protein synthesis, yes. Then the endoplasmic reticulum. So we have endoplasmic reticulum. Reticulum. Okay. What is endoplasmic reticulum? For that, let's draw. I'm sure that you are already seen this thing, which is here, the endoplasmic reticulum. This thing. I already learned that for this about structure, but I'm going to draw it again for your conveniences. So what I draw is the smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Why smooth endoplasmic reticulum? They don't have ribosome attached to it. Just imagine of your table, and it does not have any dust there, so you feel that it is smooth, it is clean. So that is our smooth endoplasmic reticulum. But it is different from the raw endoplasmic reticulum. Now you imagine your table have dust here and there. You catch it and you feel that it is a bit raw. So that is our raw endoplasmic reticulum. They have ribosome attached to it. So how to draw it? You just put this tiny thing wish, and that is your raw endoplasmic reticulum. So I think I said this many times before. The membrane of this endoplasmic reticulum continuous or shares its border with the nuclear membrane. This will ensure the effectiveness of the transportation of the protein or many things into and from the nucleus. So generally, the endoplasmic reticulum serve as transport system between cell, in the cell, within the cell. And they also a place that enzyme will attach to it. Enzyme attachment and biochemical reaction will happen there. And then there's a general function of the ribosome. We have the own function of the raw endoplasmic reticulum in which to transport protein. A specific function to transport protein from where? From the ribosome, synthesized by ribosome. From or to the ribosome, we will learn later. And now you can see that how the ribosome interconnected. Its function is interconnected to the endoplasmic reticulum. It's just like you have pencil and eraser. Eraser to erase, pencil to write. So how the raw endoplasmic reticulum, in which they have ribosome attached to it. The ribosome synthesize protein, and the raw endoplasmic reticulum transport that protein. Now we have the small endoplasmic reticulum. What they do? They synthesize and transport lipid and glycerol. They also carry out detoxification, just like our liver. Detoxification of drugs. And you should know that the metabolism is the process of your cell, process of living of your cell, what they do. And then this metabolic process have their own byproduct in which danger to the cell. So they need to detoxificate the metabolic waste or the metabolic byproduct. Sorry, I wrong spell here. Byproduct. Detoxification. If you don't have SCR, your cell will die because of the too many toxin in your cell. Next, we have the vacuole. The huge cell. The vacuole. One thing that you should know is the vacuole consists of single layer of membrane, single layer of membrane, and we call it as tonoplast. This is the tonoplast, the membrane of the vacuole. And inside the vacuole is the cell sub. In Malay we call it subcell, cell set, subcell. In which in the cell set they contain water, organic acid, organic material, organic acids, sugars, amino acid, enzyme, and many more. They also contain oxygen, CO2, metabolic byproduct. In short, they stores everything that your cell needs. And for information, vacuole exists in both animal and plant cell, which is the simple animal. But what is the difference between the vacuole in the animal and the plant cell? The vacuole in the plant cell usually they only have one vacuole in plant cell, and the vacuole is very big. It's big enough to store everything. And in animal cell, they have multiple vacuole but smaller in size. So smaller and multiple. But plant cell, we have the huge singular. Only one vacuole per plant cell. And what is the function? You will learn the term target pressure. What they do, target pressure in plants. You will learn more later, but here a brief about it. When the vacuole is shrink, it is small in size. You have the cell wall here, and you have the cytoplasm here. But it shrink in size, so they cannot push the cytoplasm towards cell wall. So the cytoplasm become further from the cell wall. So here the plant cell is not rigid. But if the vacuole is big enough, contain many things, so they will push the cytoplasm towards the cell wall and make the structure more rigid. And this is very important in herbs or the plant without roots. Very important because of what? This is a support system for the plant. For plant, because they need to stand so that they can maximize their photosynthesis. I think you already know about the photosynthesis, the process of converting the light energy into the chemical energy that will be used by the plant to carry out their life process. So that's one of the function. The another function is in both animal and plant cell is osmoregulation. Osmoregulation, in which the balance of the water inside and outside the cell. The osmosis. This is, I think it is a new term for you, osmosis. What is osmosis? Osmosis is the transport or the movement of water molecules. Water molecules inside, into, or out from the cell. This is not a complete explanation, but you will learn the complete explanation later in the next chapter, which is following the concentration gradient. You will learn that later. Osmosis and excretion. Excretion in animal, in simple animal cell. Excretion in unicellular organism, unicellular animals, like what one of them, protozoa, amoeba. So next, the chloroplast. I think I mentioned the photosynthesis before this. So this is the guy who is responsible of the photosynthesis, which is the chloroplast. So how to draw the chloroplast? You make the shape like the mitochondrion, but you change it a bit here. I think you will learn later the true structure of the chloroplast. They have the stroma and grana. This you will learn in photosynthesis chapter. I think respiration and photosynthesis is really interconnected to each other. So you will learn that later. This is just for you to know. And same like the mitochondrion, they have two layers of membrane. And it is oval shape. Remember that chloroplast only exists in plant cell. Oval shape. Remember. And what is the function of the chloroplast? I think I already mentioned it many times. In which they carry out photosynthesis. Photosynthesis. What is photosynthesis? Photosynthesis is a process of absorbing sunlight. It's not really absorbing sunlight, and then they convert it to chemical energy. This chemical energy will be used to perform the life function, the life process of the plant cell. Next, we have the common cytoplasm. Cytoplasm, if in the cell, we will see that as there's empty things, or sometimes will be dot. Right, I will draw it here. Cytoplasm is clearly like media. And biochemical reaction occurs or happen in the cytoplasm. They contain organic and inorganic compound. And as I said before, the function of the cytoplasm is acting as medium for biochemical reaction to happen in the cell. Next, you have the cell wall. I think this is the last of the cell component, which is yet to be explained. The cell wall. Let's scroll back to the up. Yes. This is the cell wall. So what is the difference between cell wall and plasma membrane? I think this is important for you to know the difference between cell wall and plasma membrane, because they both located further outside of the cell. Cell wall is fully permeable, in which, in simple term, they allows all of things to cross to get into the cell. But there is plasma membrane that's selectively and that select what are going inside the cell, what are not going inside the cell, and many things, many more. So they are fully permeable, and they're made of cellulose fiber, made of cellulose. Cellulosa in Malay, cellulose, made of cellulose fiber, in which make it rigid. It's not too rigid, but they give shape to the cell. So that's why the plant cell have fixed shape. So the function maintain the shape of the cell of the plant cell. Cell. And second, they provide mechanical support. Support to the plant cell. As I stated before, this mechanical support is very important for them to grow tall enough, to get enough sunlight, to perform enough photosynthesis, and to provide enough chemical energy for them to live. Like human, you cannot live too long if you don't have food. Same goes to the plant. They need to do photosynthesis, and this is one of the complex biology process. There's many things that you will learn more in biology, but as I stated before, this is like the mother of all chapter in biology. Mechanical support to the plant cell. Yay! You complete the 2.1. But this, I don't think that I will end here. There are some more content that I think you need to know, in which the comparison between the plant cell and the animal cell. This is one of the favorites question that always that been likely to be asked in your SPM. So you need to master what is the difference between the animal cells and plant cells. So animal cells and plant cells share many things that same to each other. They have nucleus, they have cytoplasm, they have mitochondria as their powerhouse, they have plasma membrane, they have endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi apparatus, and ribosome. But some of the cell components are not present in animal cell or the plant cell, such as animal cell have centrioles. But plant cell don't have centriole. Sorry for this bad handwriting. I'm pursuing medicine, so I guess you know why my writing like that is not the reason. Don't have what I said, centrioles. This we will learn later in cell division and cell replication. Why they don't have centriole, how they make their fiber, spindle fiber. And what animal cell don't have is the cell wall. That's why your animal cell does not fit in shape, but plant cell have cell wall. By being have cell walls, they have fixed shape. So things without cell walls don't have fit shape, non-fit shape. Oh. And plants have vacuole. So that's the animal cell. But I state the difference before this in between the vacuole of the plant cell and the vacuole of the animal cell, in which the vacuole of the plant cell is large vacuole and single vacuole. Large vacuole and usually one. But animal cell have multiple but smaller. Small vacuole. This is only true in simple animal cell. It is not like your skin cell have vacuole. It is not true. But if small animal, they're not small like and but simple animal, the unicellular animal. Yes, this is important too. Unicellular animal. Animal cell don't perform photosynthesis, so you can guess that they don't have chloroplasts. But the plant cell have chloroplasts. And the last one, I need you to pay attention because this is a new thing for you, which is the store carbohydrate in form of glycogen. The same goes to the human. We store uh, our extra glucose. Glucose is the simple sugar at the end of your digestion process. And if the you have more glucose than needed, they will convert into glycogen, in which they will later convert into fat. So they store carbohydrate in form of glycogen. But plant cell, they store their carbohydrate as as what we call it, kanji, starch. Yes, starch. Where does this starch come from? They come from the photosynthesis process through complex processes. So let's complete our mind map. It's not as beautiful as you guys thought, but the point is there. I really hope that you take note of these points. This is a very important point, and for sure will give you marks. But this is not all of the comparison that usually being asked. They also can ask you what is the difference of the chloroplast and the what is that and the mitochondria. These two cell component is like twin to each other, so they really love to ask you what is the difference of the mitochondria and the chloroplast. Only that. So that's why I say before this, it is important to you to really focus about the membrane things. So between mitochondria and chloroplast, what is the similarities between them? They have both have two layers of membrane. Is there any more similarities? You can comment below in the video. I think there's more, but I want you to think what is the similarities in between the mitochondria and the chloroplast. And then we have the difference. What is the difference between the mitochondria and chloroplast? They perform different function, in which mitochondria photosynthesis and no, the mitochondria in respiration, while the chloroplast in photosynthesis. And what is the other difference? I really hope that you can give your own thought in the comment section below. So before I end this subtopic, it is just 2.1. We have 2.2, 2.3, and 2.4, but it's already too long. Yeah, there are a lot of things that you need to know. So I leave you with some of the trivial questions, just for fun. So you need to know which of the cell component made of two layer of membrane. Pause the video to think if you want to think. But the answer is chloroplast and mitochondria. And what is the difference between the vacuole implants and vacuole in animal cell? You can always pause the video to answer or to think for a few seconds before answer it. But here I will just state the answer. Multiple smaller. And you always also can give the different of function. There are some function that which is different between each other. I'm sorry for my bad handwriting. And what is the difference between small endoplasmic reticulum versus the raw endoplasmic reticulum? And you also can give the answer in the different of their function. And the last of my question, is there any plant cell that don't have chloroplast? In general term, we know that plant cells contain chloroplast, but do you think that there are plant cells exist without chloroplast? So think. I will not give the answer for this question. I want you to think and to do your own research. And my last 2 cents. Is there anything that I missed to label? Or I forgot to label? Comment below. So that's all from me. And my last words, my last 2 cents is a tip for you to learn biology is always be curious. Always ask why that thing is there, why that thing is here. So that you will know you will understand more about the chapter and you will excel in your exam. Biology is not like you memorize everything. It is you understand everything, and yeah, those memory will come to you automatically without you even realize. That's all from me. Thank you.